Ah, shit. This episode of the BRG podcast has been brought to you by our patrons. Here at BRG, we'd like to thank those patrons who have subscribed and donated. It is because of generosity like yours that makes this show possible.
On tonight's episode of the podcast, we go ahead and catch you up on this week's latest on gaming news, tech news, and whatnot, and we talk to you about how the sausage is made. Let's get ready to rumble! Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another episode of the BRG podcast with your host, WarpedJester, that is me, and my wonderful, my beautiful, my penguin-loving cohort of the north, even though penguins aren't actually up north because they're down south. I know.
They're down south. I know.
But nevertheless,
okay. Yeah, but the
Nanook of the north, Kirrok.
It's me, Kirrok. Hi, guys. Hi, Warped, and the
Hey,
Burgers
brother.
are going north now.
Are they?
Good,
Oh, that's
excellent.
right. But it's been really pleasant here. I'm actually with a regular t-shirt and my overalls. But nonetheless. Hey, FYI,
Yeah.
shit's going on tonight. You know that, and we actually have somebody here with us for that whole reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
He's down there. Hey, how's it going? That's Component Z, guys. How you doing,
What's
buddy?
going on, guys?
How you been? It's been a while.
I know, it's been a while since I've been
It's been since last summer? For crying out loud.
pretty close, yeah?
Fucking lazy ass motherfucker.
I know, right?
Hey,
I may have been working on something off camera.
May or may have not been. Hey, guys, guess what? Just so you know, we're actually not here to berate Component Z too much here. Kirrok, yes. Component Z, not so much. We actually are here to tell you all about this week's news in the gaming and tech and whatnot industries, as well as talk about and wax poetic about things. Actually, tonight, we really want to talk about kind of about the BRG group, about the media that we're doing, and just kind of give you a little bit of the behind the scenes, how the sausage is made kind of thing. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. We've got some news at the end of this regarding the podcast. I encourage you to stay tuned for that because it is kind of important. It has to do with kind of an end of an era, if you will. So just stick with it. You'll understand. Anyways, guys, we are gonna get this tonight. I just want to give a quick reminder to you guys: we are but a small fragment of the whole, which is the Battle Rocket gaming community. We have a lot of good people who do a lot of fun stuff on our Twitch network, on our Discord, etc. And I definitely encourage you guys to check all that out. We will let you know more details at the end of the show. Here, we do have links down below as well. But that said, I think we should go ahead and get into it, guys.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into the news this fine evening. And to start us off with, we're going to go ahead and talk about Fortnite breaking records. No, this is not a repeat. This is actually something new of sorts. Actually, Fortnite continues to break records by actually breaking records on YouTube, of all places. Go figure. So to give you kind of the lowdown here, Fortnite basically has set the record for the most YouTube videos on a game in a month's time. So of all of YouTube, Fortnite has actually racked up the most YouTube videos in a single month span.
Really? Better than Minecraft?
Go figure.
What?
Go figure. So to give you the relations of that, I don't know what Minecraft is, but for Battle Royale tournaments have had over 42 million live views. And setting recording single stream of 1.1 million concurrent.
Wow.
Jeez.
So this is a live stream of this thing on YouTube. YouTube is like the very small secondary competitor to Twitch. Those are some pretty good numbers for a secondary.
That's pretty interesting.
Did YouTube streaming become popular? I didn't realize it.
Fortnite? I don't know. So I'm going to continue on with don't buy a third-party dock for your Nintendo Switch. Now, this article is actually brought to you by The Verge. And Nintendo's advising owners of the Switch console to stick with the company's own dock. Thank God I did, although it's a freaking ripoff. But it is. But apparently, users have been
They
experiencing
dropped the price down to
situations.
$70 from 90. Just for the
Oh,
record.
really?
Yeah.
Great. That was a few months too late for me. So apparently some users have reported corrupted game saves and sometimes even bricked consoles after the latest firmware update to version 5.0 and leaving them in the dock. Yeah, I mean, at this point, one user on Amazon noted that the system bricked after the update. Nyko, the maker of some third-party docks, says that they believe the issue may be related to the Switch and how it handles AV output to an external monitor when it is docked. So,
Yeah.
Be careful, guys.
If you look up YouTube and look up opening up the docks, you'll see that it's not just a straight pass. It's Type-C connectors. There's a little confusing because there's Type-C and then there's USB
Regular
3.3 whatever.
Correct.
The standard that it runs on does have video capacity, but the Switch doesn't connect directly to the external monitor. It goes through a subboard that manages all that, and that's actually taken care of by Nintendo with the interlink. So yeah, it kind of fucks things up. Whoopsie! Hey, good news for you, No Man's Sky lovers. All 3, 4 of you? Oh well, yeah,
maybe 5.
So, No Man's Sky is going to be coming to the Xbox later this year. Hooray! Do I need to keep on with this? I mean, is there anybody who really gives two shits at this point?
I know, it's just too late.
Well, apparently everybody's piling on to the Sea of Thieves or whatever it is. Now,
yes.
I'm not really sure about that game because it has been noted as breaking records and the next No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I've heard it called No Man's Seas.
Yes, No Man's Seas. So, but nevertheless, if you aren't on No Man's Seas, if you're still doing No Man's Sky, it is going to be available on the Xbox later this year. I didn't get an exact date.
No, they didn't say a specific.
Is this going to be interlinked with the PC versions, or are you going to be all by yourself again?
I bet it's going to be all by itself again. Otherwise, they would have taken advantage of the Play Anywhere, which that's no way it's happening. So, keeping on with No Man's Sky and your Lost in Space theme, it sounds like actually No Man's Sky is really going to get VR support very soon. Mm-hmm. Again, no specific date, but the community is in a bit of a frenzy. A lot of people are saying this is what the game was born for, but people in the community have been combing through Hello Games' alternate reality game called Walking Titan, which consists of fake websites, phone numbers, and clues to players so that they can figure out what will be included in the next game update. I didn't even know this existed.
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, yeah. I mean, there was actually a tweet sent by Sean Murray from Hello Games, and that tweet basically says, coming in summer 2018 is No Man's Sky Next. That's what they're calling it. A free update for PS4, PC, and Xbox, and Wii game. I don't even know what that is. It's our largest update so far, and we're working our socks off. So there's no specific saying that it's VR, but because of that Walking Titan site, people are making extrapolations that this update will support VR, which is pretty cool.
And in the end, it's still No Man's Sky, which nobody cares about.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because if it's just an update, I'll give it a shot. I own the game.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Component, how about a game people do give a shit about?
Anyway, so most people are building computers, don't want to pay for GPUs. Well, now you can play a computer game to build computers. Available on Steam, still in early access, is a PC building simulator. It does offer things like water cooling, overclocking. They have a tutorial, career mode, freestyle mode where you just build computers.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you'd want a freestyle mode in that, but
what is the point of this?
I love it. I bought it. I'm gonna build a kick-ass machine in it and then stream from that machine.
Yes. The one thing I did think was interesting is they do have some They do have some licensed components, so you will see brand names in there like MSI, NVIDIA, and GeForce.
So it's a sim game to advertise shit that you really can't afford.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I look at it along the lines as Euro Trucker and things like that, or American Truck Simulator.
So, guys, that is all the game news we have for tonight. I'm going to switch gears here, try to find something that might be less boring. On the tech aspect of things, Uber's trucking exec is actually leaving the company. Now, in case you guys somehow didn't know this, Uber does actually have a trucking division. They actually acquired Otto a while back, OTTO, which was supposed to be an autonomous truck driving service. So the steps towards this are to basically take a caravan or a convoy of trucks and have one person at the lead of it, have the other trucks following, and then eventually, of course, make them completely autonomous. When they acquired the company, they acquired the staff, including this wonderful gentleman here who's a co-founder. They're not giving any reasons as to why he left, but it's interesting that he left just shortly after this fatal crash that happened. I don't know if it's associated in any way, shape, or form. If it isn't, it just happens to be very coincidental, poor timing. So, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like what happened.
Well, and continuing on with that, the executive, not the only thing that's leaving Uber's autonomous cars. So are their sensors.
They do say less is more.
Apparently so. Engadget is reporting that Uber is reducing the number of sensors on their autonomous car. They use systems like radar, cameras, and LiDAR.
Yep.
And they're scaling back to a single LiDAR sensor on their Volvo test vehicle. The resulting vehicles do have more blind spots, which not really a good thing.
That sounds horrible. I understand that things like this come up, are in plans for a while before you ever hear about it. That said, if you're planning to do this after what just happened like a week ago,
well, no, I think they reportedly reduced them already, and this could potentially lay blame to why this happened.
Are you sure? I thought what they said here was that they're going to be reducing.
Okay.
Hey, less eyes for the AI.
Either way, it's a bad idea.
And somebody died. It just I don't know. I'm not a tech. I'm not a smart person that does this kind of shit. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I'm not anywhere near.
It's that little thing that says, "Oh yeah, by the way, there may be more blind spots as a result."
Not cool.
Yeah.
So moving on, Reddit dumps Bitcoin payment option. So Bitcoin's still popping up in the news. This is brought to you by Engadget. Since 2013, you've been able to pay for Reddit Gold membership. Now, I don't use Reddit that often, but I guess they have like a
I love Reddit.
Yeah.
I use a lot.
Okay. So according to this, you could pay with Bitcoin as well as more traditional means like PayPal, credit cards, and so on. Mm-hmm. This is now changing. One of the moderators basically confirmed that Bitcoin will no longer be accepted as a method of payment in their system. This is likely due to the volatile nature of it.
Shocking.
I mean, they did state that at this point they want to watch the progression of the coin-based commerce. So I think they're just going to keep an eye on it, but probably not.
Here's the thing. Bitcoin is volatile. We always knew that. But it was always volatile in doing this. You just accept Bitcoin. Buy a pizza with it, or sell a pizza with it, and then hang on to the coin and make lots of money from that little bit. Nowadays, not so much. And yes, technically, when you sell something, you can sell it for whatever the equivalent USD or EU currency is worth. For whatever the item is, you sell a pizza, you can sell a pizza for exactly $20 worth of Bitcoin, no matter what the Bitcoin is currently at. And if you just turn around and immediately cash that Bitcoin out, you're fine. The problem is that you can't immediately cash it out. The queue for a Bitcoin transaction is so long now that just getting the Bitcoin from the person who bought the pizza, Bitcoin can fucking nosedive in that time.
Yeah.
And then you got to turn around and get it to the fucking cash out. You can literally lose your shirt or gain $1 bazillion.
Well, other things that are going down in price right now, besides Bitcoin's value,
This is cool. This is really cool.
is PlayStation VR.
Yes.
They do have a price drop on that. So if you've been holding out, waiting for it, it's coming. The Doom VFR bundle is down from $399.99 to it's down $100 to $299.99. They have their more expensive bundle, which is the Skyrim bundle, is down to $349.99, which was down from $449. So that's another one that dropped another $100.
We talked about a price drop a while back, but I'm foggy. I wish I had time to go back and look. I don't know if it was they dropped them temporarily and they went back up, and now because this is a permanent. They're saying this is a permanent price drop. So I can't remember if it is the fact they came down again to a new price point, or if they went back up and came back down to what they were before and now are staying there. I want to say it's the latter. They came down, went back up after that limited time, and now they're back down again.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well,
they're coming down to try to stay competitive with HTC. The HTC headset is, I think, significantly cheaper.
That's a good point. That's a good point because a lot of those are dropping in Oculus as well. They've been dropping prices, and those are the big boys of VR. This is supposed to be kind of a little bit simpler VR.
Well, to be fair, they did sell 2 million units between October 2016 and the end of 2017. So a little over a year, they sold 2 million units.
How many units have sold on Oculus and on Vive, Kirok? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head. I could do a quick search.
I'm really kind of look that up real quick. 'Cause I'm really curious about that because 2 million units is not something to scoff at. I mean, that could be a big deal. And I know this because I watched Ready Player One today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. VR's the future, baby. Good movie, but I'll talk about that more later. While Kirok's looking that up, guys, and one more little piece of news in a rod under the media stature is Microsoft. Microsoft is going to ban offensive language in not just Xbox, but also Skype and Office and other use services.
Yeah. Well, shit.
So, step 1, lighter fluid on head. Step 2, light hair on fire. Step 3, run around screaming. Huh?
Inappropriate content.
Inappropriate content. So basically what it is Microsoft is going to ban offensive language or inappropriate content across the board. Skype, Xbox, Office utilities, etc. Now, before everybody goes absolutely ape shit, let's talk about this a little bit. So this has to do with the May 1st update of Microsoft's EULA, like across the board EULA. And of course, as with all things, this particular update is written rather broadly. So, being rude on Xbox, that's going to get you banned and lose your gold membership and your account balance. Getting saucy with pics on Skype, that's going to get you some hot water. Cortana overhears you, ban hammer.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When it references in a Word doc, ban hammer.
Thank God I disabled her.
This is... This is what comes down to the new EULA. Now, where this will come from? Like I said, the EULA got rewritten, and it got rewritten very broadly. And this is kind of typical. They tend to be very broad with their EULA so they can have a little wiggle room when they want to or need to. But of course, people have gone apeshit over this. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, I believe this TOS update has to do with the recent legislation that's gone through the U.S. Congress regarding making site owners responsible for the content posted by users. So basically, put simply, if you're on Reddit, for example, and you start posting dick pics in an inappropriate place, it could be on Reddit's head and their responsibility in getting them in hot water. And we've seen a lot of fallout from this. Craigslist has closed their basically their hookups page. Yeah, no, you can't find hookup anymore. Now, just so you guys know, if you haven't heard about it, I can't remember that there's two different things that got passed in Congress. That basically they were a anti-sex trafficking legislation that went through. And of course, anybody who, if you don't vote for this, then you're for sex trafficking. The problem is it makes it very onerous because the wording was so broad that it can put the blame and responsibility on the site owner. So that's probably where this came from. So yes, technically the new TOS says they can do all this. Realistically, they probably won't, but you can't guarantee it. So that's the news, guys. Sorry.
So those numbers you wanted?
Yes.
To the end of last year, 420,000 HTC Vives and 243,000 Oculus Rifts. Yeah, sold.
Sorry. Combined, they're under 700,000 units
they're
sold.
way less.
To
Meanwhile,
PlayStation's 2 million.
So these are not official numbers from the article I found. I just did a quick search. And when was this article? Let me see real quick. March 2nd, 2017.
There seems to be a
hang on.
winner.
That's a year-old article. So that's the end of 2017. No. The end of 2016 he's talking about. To give you a time reference. So I didn't find something from 2017.
Kirok is going to personally follow up with each and every one of you that are watching tonight and send you an email with the details and information regarding this.
No. I'm going to each and everyone's house, knocking on the door and letting them know.
I tell you what, guys, what you need to do is make sure you subscribe to his Twitter account so that you can get those notes when he finds them. He's going to tweet them for you. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on. I think I'm feeling like we need to know about what's coming up in the way of game releases.
Okay, guys.
Welcome back to another game releases with me, Kirok. Guys, again, just like last week, we only have a few in the list, so we're going to go through them. There's a couple actually that are pretty cool. And your first game is on April 3rd, and it is called Minute. Not spelled minute like 60 seconds, but M-I-N-I-T. It's for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and it is an RPG/adventure game. If Tamagotchi and Zelda had a baby, then this would be their offspring, guys. From what I can tell, the game has only two colors, black and white. And I love the oversimplistic look of the game and how they're able to convey so much with only that one or two colors. And the reason I say Tamagotchi is because those little characters look like Tamagotchi characters. It's great that this game is coming out on console and PC, but man, you guys left out the Switch. And your next game is also on April 3rd, and it is Terra, spelled T-E-R-A. It's for PS4 and Xbox One. It is an MMORPG. So this game has actually been out on the PC since May of 2012. Now, for the first time, it's been redesigned to work for console play, so it's releasing on consoles for the first time. They built it from the ground up so that it will work with controllers rather than keyboard and mouse, and the graphics are actually very beautiful. The game looks like a lot of fun. Oh, and did I mention that this game is brought to you by the same guys that brought you PUBG? That's right, Bluehole. And your last game is on April 5th, and it is Urban Trial Playground for the Nintendo Switch. It is a motorcycle racing/stunt game. Now, this game, when I looked at it, it reminded me so much of Trial Fusion. The developer that made it has actually made Urban Trial Freestyle 1 and 2 for the 3DS, and it's only natural that they bring it over to the Switch now. The game looks amazing. You're on a predetermined track, and as you jump, you got to pull these stunts and rack up some massive scores. The Switch is doing amazingly, guys. And that's it, guys. Like I said, it was another short one this week. What's with all the short weeks, man? What's going on? Thank you for joining me, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.
All right, guys. Welcome to the main topic tonight, and I'm so happy you've made it this far. We got some big news for you. A little sad news, to be honest, but, you know, hey, we've had a good run of it, right? So we want to do tonight, guys, actually, is talk a little bit about what it takes to do what we do. Now, for those of you who have been watching the podcast for a while now, we have had some look back on the podcast and the history of it. We talked in pretty decent depth about the podcast when we did the big podcast 2.0 change up, which is what you see all around us now. This is
all around us, yeah.
All Kirrok's beautiful work. So for give you a quick the quick history, I started the podcast. We had the BRG community. I started the podcast as a way to promote the community, give people information, have a little fun, all that good jazz. I started to waver a little bit. Kirrok came on board, saved the podcast, and then we dived into the podcast 2.0, where we changed up the format, changed up the look, and all that. So there's the history. Been over that before. Go back and watch the old episodes. You want to hear more detail about that. But what does it take to do something like this? Ooh, a lot, actually.
It takes quite a bit, actually.
It does. It really does. We don't just, sit down the night of and pull up, hey Google, and bring up a list of news items, just kind of run with it, right? Do it.
Well,
okay.
no.
It's personally, it's not. There's a lot of sweat that goes into it.
There is.
There's a lot of sweat. You may not think it, but there's a lot of sweat that goes into it. Sometimes you sweat and you're prepared. Sometimes you sweat and you're a little unprepared. And that's just the nature of the beast.
No, you're absolutely right.
Right? So there's quite a bit that goes into it in terms of planning and prepping ahead of time in terms of articles during the week, keeping your ears open for interesting and new things that come out. Because that's what we do. We cover topics that come out, whether they are technology-based, whether they are video game-based. We try and center on the video game, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's my 2 cents at this point in time. So,
hey, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, Kirrok's absolutely right. And actually, I want to give you guys a little bit of understand what we do here. And I'm hoping that, the two things will come out of this. One is I want you guys to kind of be understanding of what it takes to do something like this. And two, I'm hoping that this will kind of help you guys out a little bit. Maybe be a little, if you're curious about getting things like this, be able to figure out how stuff works, might help you a little bit. So we're gonna talk about the podcast stuff, since we've been doing the podcast for a couple of years now. This is episode 117. So we did it for a little bit here. So first things first, the utilities and services we use. So we use OneNote, first of all. OneNote is a note collaboration tool. And let's give you a little sneak peek here. We have a notebook that we use that has a kind of a canned format for, here's the segments, here's the main topic, here's speed bits, and so on. And we fill in the information over the course of the week. So
right.
Throughout the week, me and Kirrok are just, I listen to a lot of tech news and gaming news and whatnot, and I'll add notes of articles I want to look up. Same with Kirrok. Kirrok, you use
I use on my iPhone. I use an app called Pockets.
Thank you.
And
Pocket.
I just find it easier to because it's integrated into other things. So I use a few different RSS readers, and I go through. Actually, I use one RSS reader, and I have all the different topics or articles aggregate through it. And then as I go, I just tap on them and add them to the Pocket, or add them to the Pocket app. And then on my computer, when I sit down eventually to add them all into the OneNote document that we share, I just pull up the Pocket app and I go through them. That's pretty much how I do it.
Yeah, so it's kind of straightforward, guys. So throughout the week, we're keeping our eye out for news, and we'll kind of gather the news up, if you will. Things that sound interesting, and it could be. It's just something I heard the headline of, thought was interesting, or I was listening to another tech podcast and they talked about a topic that I found that might be useful, interesting, or something that should be shared on our show, and I'll follow that away. And usually what I try to do personally is I try to wait till like Thursday or Friday night to start going through and reading the articles, fleshing out the details. I'll actually put in detailed notes on the highlight points we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the meat of the podcast in terms of
There's oftentimes where we do this and we add a ton, because sometimes you get a week that's just like crazy busy news articles and news topics, and then there's weeks that are super dry. There's really nothing there. But when we get to a point where we have, a big amount, we have to actually scale them back. We actually have to cut some out because we want to keep the podcast within a reasonable time, which is, it happens, right? So
it happens.
There's a bunch of topics that don't make it to the podcast.
And we for this podcast, you guys see we have like a Speedy Bits segment meant to be kind of headlines that you guys know about. We've kind of dialed it into about 10 minutes for that segment. We never really keep within the 10 minutes, to be honest with you.
No.
And we figure about
we shoot for it.
We shoot for it. We try to we usually try to do about a minute per topic. So we need to have about 10 topics, no more, no less. And as Kirok said, usually we'll end up doing, we'll take some of the less impressive or interesting ones and kind of dump it down. So me and him will dump things in, and we actually get feedback from people. I'll get topics thrown at me from people at work, from Seshi, who did the music for this podcast. Other people from BRG will post to Discord, say, hey, have you guys seen this headline? And I'll add that to our pocket to review later. We do listen to you guys, by the way, so thank you for that. But yeah, we have to pare things down. So there is news that gets missed. It's news, again, it doesn't seem as relevant as other news, which is kind of a shame, to be honest, just because it's still relevant news in some way. It's just it wasn't as big a deal. So, real quickly though, Z, my friend, my buddy. So,
Yes, sir.
if you guys don't know, I actually came across Z through ZiplockBob, and he actually is because Z actually did a podcast with Zip for a while called
Secret Syndrome, the arcade.
So Z has done things like that. So I'm curious, Z, how was it for you guys? How did you do your daily route or your weekly routine, or however you had it formatted?
We did a lot of the same things. We were sharing. I don't remember what we were using to share the note. I think it was an open office document or Google Docs document that we were using. We used Owl RSS to pull, gaming news, tech news, RSS feeds. We could filter through them quickly.
That's right. Maybe you guys saying that. That's what I kept meaning to look at. And I just kept forgetting to.
Owl?
Yeah, Owl RSS.
Okay.
It's a free RSS reader. Old school, clunky, but once you get the RSS feeds in there, as soon as you open it up, it'll just pull whatever you need.
Nice.
Very nice.
And we would, we would sit down, be like, okay, we're going to cover, topic A and topic B tonight. And we would sit down and record it. I mean, I don't want to say we were kind of fly by night, but we were
Casual.
Yeah. We were.
You're casual.
I don't know the words I want to use in this one.
Well, that's the thing though, is that every podcast is different. I watch a lot of other gaming podcasts on YouTube and whatnot to kind of get feel. These people I watch them partly because I do enjoy some of them. Team Chat Podcast, for example.
Yep.
Great group. Yep. I love them to death. They got really cool topics, and the repertoire with them is really good. But for other things like that, for recording, we use OBS, or I use OBS. I got my little snowball here that I use for my mic. All the other stuff. And I think part of I'll call it success. We're not a big podcast and like that, but part of the success that we've been doing it for over 2 years now, 117 episodes in, has just been the fact that first and foremost, we have fun with it.
Yeah,
we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're here to have a good time, meet new people, and God, Kirok, I mean, you and I have become good buddies over time. But we've met people like Guillermo Adolfo from Gaming Frontier, the Team Chat podcast team. A bunch of really great people as a result of this. So, it's a total fucking win-win in that regard.
Yeah. It is.
So, but anyway,
I mean, I watched the podcast for Team Chat, and they're
Yep.
great. They're so good. So yeah,
I love
agreed.
You brought up something that made me think.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, right. You brought up your snowball. You showed your snowball. It doesn't have to be a great mic. I have a Turtle Beach streamer mic that I have on an arm.
No, it's off.
And there's a mute button on it that works.
Apparently so.
But it's on an arm, so it's like, but I can keep it. I actually put it so it's just at the edge of my frame.
Mm-hmm.
Stays out of sight, but picks up well. It doesn't have to be. You're not having to spend.
You don't need to spend
$200 on a mic.
No, I mean, hell, a snowball. You get a snowball on Amazon for $35. Now, I do want to stress. We've talked about this in the past. One of the big things about doing shows like this, especially a podcast as a talk show, is you need to have good audio. You can have shit video. You can have low res video, and people can handle it. But man, if your audio is fucking bad, or if it's starting to get all nasty and hard to hear,
and
people are gonna fucking tune out real quick. Again, this is not a how-to per se. It's just a little bit of FYI. It really doesn't take a lot in terms of hardware and whatnot. If you have the ability to put up masking and sound dampening in the background, put a nice green screen up that you can utilize for stuff. I mean, you see in KirrokCraft's game release video.
Yeah.
This is what you can do with a green screen. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to be had. The other thing I love about it is it gave me the opportunity to learn new stuff. I learned how to use OBS Studios, which is great. I learned how to use Adobe's Premiere video editing suite. And that's been an absolute blast. It's just something I get to play with. So I love the fact that I've been able to expand as a result of that. Learn new techniques.
Your knowledge expands. You grow as a person because you have different facets available to you. Oh yes, I know how to key out a green screen. Oh yes, I know how to put in the audio and sync it up with the video and things like that, which is pretty cool. In fact,
the other thing is,
go ahead.
You're also staying in touch with the world, because I find that since I've started dealing with podcasts, I read a lot more news than I did prior. Because
hit the nail on the head.
I find myself, even when I'm not doing podcasts, I still read the news to find out what's going on, say, in the tech world. Because now that I've been a part of it, I don't want to stop.
I absolutely agree with you. That's one of the things that I love to death is that I'm in the tech world. I work IT for a living, so I'm part of the tech world, and I really enjoy hearing a lot about it, and I love sharing and talking about it. It's one of the reasons, not one of the reasons why I do this. I actually had on my WarpedJester YouTube account, the early videos you'll see before I started doing moto vlogging were just me standing literally in front of I set my phone up on the wall. Yeah. It was a supposed beam wall. I set up on the wall, hit record, and just stood in front of it, and I called it Jester Soapbox. It was me talking about whatever topic, everything from local events like the community transit system strikes to the stupidity of some of the things that happen in the tech world. It's just my opinions, my thoughts on it, and it was just fun to share your ideas. And this is what social is all about when it comes online. But yeah, I mean, the fact that getting into this realm, doing gaming news, actually reading up about games and what's going on and what's happening in the world, you don't just get these little highlights of things happening once in a while. You start to see the ebb and flow of what's going on in the world.
Right.
You know that this happened as a result of this, and this happening, kind of thing. So you just it feels good. You feel more knowledgeable, and I like sharing that with you guys. Again, this is why I got into this, is being able to share it with you. Me personally, although there are a lot of wonderful podcasts out there, back when I started this podcast about 2-something years ago, there really weren't that many, not to be rude, but not good ones that were enough for me. They didn't have enough news coming in for me. So to kind of satiate my needs, I started actively looking up articles, and I understand and feel that there are people out there. Hello, Moth.
I saw that.
there are people out there that don't really have the time to sit there and read a bunch of articles necessarily.
Yeah.
But likewise, especially with the advent of more current times with like the Google Home and Amazon and whatnot, people have those flash briefings, which give you the headlines, but don't give you any detail.
Any sustenance.
Which is great because it can help you target. If you have a limited amount of time to actually read articles, it can help you focus on what articles you want to go back and actually read.
Yeah.
So when I started this podcast, it was kind of an ability to say, hey, listen, I'm actually taking the time, have the time to read a lot of these articles, get to know them and whatnot. And this is my way of giving back to the community. This is my way to give back to you guys, tell you about what I've read. Yes, I'm going to give you my vantage point, my opinion, my skew on it sometimes. I do genuinely try to be open-minded and try to be center of the road on a lot of stuff. But times I'm going to get off, onto this is my perspective, this is my skew on it. I try to be fair and upfront with you. And that's another thing that I can't stress enough. When you do something like this is be upfront and honest with people. If you're speaking from a skewed angle, meaning a perspective or your opinion on things, that's fine. That's totally fine.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Just
you
let people know.
Just let people know you're doing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I wanted to add, and one of the other things, and this is what I really like about having joined the podcast, is it's a collaboration of minds. So I came along, and then Warped's always treated me like, hey, you know what? It's a thing that we're both working on. So if you have to tell me something or share an idea, do it. Don't worry. I'm a big boy. I could take it, Mm-hmm. And so that's what we have been doing. And what I liked a lot out of all that was what was born out of it in the podcast were little segments like the rants, like the game releases, like the sports and so on. And we're always looking for people to fill those kinds of things and add little tidbits of extras in the podcast. But it gave us a chance to talk about a creative thing within the creative thing.
Yeah.
So it was really awesome in that sense.
And you guys would know the segments as things like, technically everything is a segment. The Speedy Bits is a segment. The main topic we're talking about now is a segment. Those are kind of the main ones. But like sub-segments like Kirrok's game releases, which are excellent. That's a segment. You've seen ZiplockBob's rants in the past. He's been busy, hasn't done any more lately. And I guess we haven't really officially said this, so I'm just going to put it out there now. Yeah, you don't see NachoPandaa anymore, unfortunately. He moved on. He did a game esports segment for us for a while, but he's focusing on his channel now. But these are the kind of things. It was great because he had people who could bring their creative bits into this show.
That can keep happening. It doesn't mean it has to stop at that point. Like,
and speaking of channels,
yeah,
why don't we talk about channels for a moment?
Well, I guess we probably should. So there is kind there is kind of a reason why we brought up the whole let's talk about the podcast and the making of and all that, because as I said at the beginning of the show here, there is kind of an end to an era. Everything that starts must end, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So when it comes to this podcast, guys, we've been doing this, like I said, for over 2 years. We record it, we edit it, we throw it up on YouTube for you guys, and we appreciate all the support and love we've gotten from you guys in the YouTube community, and no end to love we feel for you. So we do want to say thank you for that. But that said, we are going to be changing things up here and saying goodbye to the podcast.
Moment of silence.
Yeah. Oh God, guys, I'm sorry. We're being asses. The podcast is changing. What you've seen tonight is going to be coming to an end. We are actually going to be changing up the thing. I've kind of jokingly called it Podcast 3.0. Me and Kirrok had our meeting. We tried to do quarterly meetings and just sync on things, address things. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from you guys regarding the podcast and kind of candid feedback and honesty, the shortcomings of it. And this coupled with some feedback we have ourselves, again, dealing with the background. So something we talked about, all the news we have to drop because we don't have the time to talk about it. We're always struggling to keep up on top of bringing you a main topic to talk about. Sometimes there's a news article that's worth expanding out for an extended period of time to talk about in detail. Sometimes there isn't week to week.
Right.
Once a month you can pull a good one out of there to talk about for 30 minutes, but not every week. And sometimes we have a good idea for a topic to talk about, but sometimes we don't. So it's always kind of a struggle and a stretch to find something. The other thing is you guys have talked about the fact that the podcast, quite frankly, at an hour is pretty long.
Pretty long.
Now, it's a podcast, and to be fair, most of the podcasts I watch tend to run at least an hour, sometimes a couple of hours.
Yep, me too. I've seen some, or actually listened to some. So,
but nonetheless, we hear the feedback, and we've talked about it in depth, and we've decided that we're going to go ahead and change a few things about the podcast. So, in terms of the BRG podcast, first things first, we are changing up the format. And right now we've got, the two main segments being the speed bits and the main topic. The speed bits we're keeping. We're going to keep doing what we do in terms of speed bits. We might even take a little more and just taking a little time to talk about it a little more. But what we want to do is we actually want to add in a new segment, which is we called Headlines. And Headlines is just that. It's all the stuff we dropped and weren't going to talk about at all. We're going to at least give you the headline. Kind of like one of those news briefings we talked about earlier.
Yep.
It's going to be that briefing at the top of the show, let you know what's going on. Things that aren't really worth fleshing out or talking about in any kind of detail. It's just enough that if you are interested, you can go look up and find it. And then the speed bits are going to be...
Speed bits right after that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it. We're going to take our time to actually talk about it. We're not going to restrict ourselves to a minute per necessarily. We're going to take our time to talk about it a little more. But we don't want the podcast to be any longer. As a matter of fact, we want it to be shorter.
That's right.
So, Kirok, how short are we going to make this?
We're looking at the podcast being a 30-minute episode, 20 to 30 minutes, no longer than 30, I would say. Yeah.
So we're going to cut it in half, basically.
You got it.
Now,
exactly.
In order to do that,
something has to give.
It's like an audio cue right now for a song. Anyways, something's got to give.
So in order to accommodate that, the area where we would have our round table, or sometimes what's known as meaty bites, is no longer going to be part of the podcast.
Yep.
So what we plan is to have that segment
dropped completely.
Essentially dropped completely from the podcast. And well, this is one of the reasons why Component Z is with us tonight. There was already discussion prior to even making this decision for this podcast, for our current podcast, for a new podcast that would be a monthly roundtable between Component Z and WarpedJester. And we kind of looked at what we would have as meaty bites, or a roundtable topic, and thought to ourselves, well, that is exactly what this newer podcast would be, this other entity on the side. Should I say what it's called?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So essentially, we've decided to absorb into the new podcast the Meaty Bites / Roundtable, which we're probably just going to keep Roundtable. And that new podcast is called Defective Discourse.
Yep.
So there we go, guys. So essentially, that is going to be generally a monthly. We're going to start off monthly and see how that goes and see if that can change or maybe not. Because as Warp was saying, topics aren't sometimes some weeks they're not any available. But out of a month, you can easily pick out a topic that you could talk
at least one or two, right?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So
I think we were shooting for 2, maybe 3 topics per episode. we are going to live stream it. That's going to be the other big
There
thing.
you go.
Ah,
Thank you.
there's the and the
That's-
other shoe
You
drops.
Bang. There it goes. So,
Yes.
Go ahead.
So as he just let out, Defective Discourse is going to be a live streamed event on the BRG Twitch channel, and we're going to be doing that, I believe, the first Tuesday of every month, starting May 1st.
Hmm.
Now, here's the other thing, guys. Told you the podcast is kind of
Links down below. Links down below.
now I have to remember to do that. God damn it. Actually, I think I got the Twitch one down there already. But anyways, the other thing about this is it's not just Effective Discourse. It's going to be on Twitch.
That's right. Yeah. The regular podcast, our Speedy Bits with the headlines as well, is going to be streamed live weekly. So that's
Every week, Saturday night, guys. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. We are actually going to, instead of sitting down, we sit down every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to record this. Now we're actually going to be doing it with you guys live on Twitch.
in the moment. So you can come join us and give us direct feedback, direct comments. We can actually get your comments live and talk about whatever and reply to you.
And you can see what happens when the cameras stop rolling, and that's when we come back and we're all laughing. You can find out why.
Which consequently, I still have like a dozen episodes, actually episodes back to like episode 100 that I have to go back and actually edit and get the in between in between the scenes.
Yeah, in between the scenes.
Yeah, so I still got to do that. So yeah, so there you go, guys. We are actually gonna have we're modifying the podcast. We've listened to your input. We're shortening it. We're revising it. We're adding new content. We're dropping stuff and moving it and creating another show for you. So you guys are gonna have 2 shows now you're gonna be able to watch. Now, for people who are not exactly active or available at the times we're doing the live stream, I am going to keep archiving these shows, the podcast, as well as Defective Discord, and will be uploading them to YouTube. Now, that said, the one caveat is, just because of timing and whatnot, I will try my best to make sure that we're constantly getting out on time as usual, but sometimes YouTube may slip. I may not get a chance to edit it and put it up there on time. So, per usual, I'm sorry if I don't. Life happens.
And, it's okay.
Well, and then not only that, don't forget Twitch keeps the live streams for
already in VOD format.
Yep.
Yeah, they keep a VOD. So if you miss us one night and you want to see us the next morning,
no problem.
VOD's still there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys. So here's where it comes down to what's going to happen here. You've got a month left of this wonderful format we're doing now with all the bits that we do. And again, as of May 1st is when we do the great changeover. So May 1st, we will be doing our first Defective Discord. And actually, technically, the podcast will follow the next week. Because May 1st, and then that weekend, we'll do the first podcast live. So it's going to be May, 5th or something like that? And I look at the calendar. So if you guys,
would be May the 5th.
Perfect. So may it be with you.
May the 5th.
So if you guys are into that, go ahead and mark on your calendar right now. May 1st, Tuesday night, and that's going to be at, I believe, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Is what it's
I believe you are correct.
Yeah,
10 o'clock Eastern.
10 or 11.
11? Oh no, you're right. It's 11.
No, it was 11. It was
11.
11.
I apologize.
Yeah, it was 11.
Because these guys are East Coasters, so it's 11 o'clock Eastern. We'll be doing the Defective Discourse, and that is going to be a round table discussionary thing. And the big kicker there.
Yeah, there you're going to say it. I know you're going to say it. Say it. Go ahead.
The big kicker there is the idea behind it is to have a lot of guests on. So we have a round table of guests.
That was it.
And part of that is the chat room. You guys are going to be part of the conversation. So you guys are welcome to belly up to the table, so to speak, and chat and talk at us on the topics we're having, so we can actually have a live chat and a dynamic chat regarding the topics. And
a discourse.
Yeah, that discourse. As effective as it is. And what Kirok kind of started in on but didn't quite complete is we originally it was going to be a me and Component Z thing. Kirok is doing the art for us, hence the art you see in front of us right now. However, we have graciously asked Kirok to actually be a part of this. So you're actually going to get 3 hosts for this show, along with however many sorry, unwitting assholes we can get onto the show with us as guests. So enjoy that. Also enjoy the podcast. It's going to be going live on May 5th. Again, that's going to be at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And you can join us there and jabber us, and we'll try to make sure we pay attention to the stream flowing by as best we can.
I was going to ask something. I was going to say something, and it just slipped right. As soon as I went to say something, it slipped out of my mind.
So it falls out of your mouth before you can say it. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, hey, thank you so much for all the support you guys are giving us. Thank you so much for always being there. We really do appreciate it. We're not the biggest. We're probably not the best. But by God, we're here and we're still doing it. And we appreciate the fact that you're still watching it. So
we're having fun, too.
Exactly. So. We'll go ahead and get you guys next week per usual. And again, go ahead and put dates down in your calendar. Make sure you guys have already gone over to the Ball Rocket Gaming Twitch channel and make sure you follow over there so you'll know when we're going up. We do have other people doing other shows on there as well. So look forward to that and enjoy. We got to get moving on here. Be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to wrap things up. And I do appreciate you guys joining us tonight. It has been an absolute blast. Kirok, my friend, what is coming up in your life?
Tuesday, April 3rd, 11 p.m. Eastern, Nacho and I are continuing A Way Out. We're doing a dual stream. Yeah, we're doing a dual stream. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
So Tuesday night at what time?
11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. Make sure to be there for that. I really want to see that. It'd be cool.
Yeah, and it's really fun to watch.
My dear, my friend, my buddy. Our guest as of right now, but cohort in the near future. Anything going
on? Just been streaming over on my Twitch channel. That's about it.
Awesome. Make sure you guys get over to Component Z on Twitch and check that out. And of course, guys, as always, you have the wonderful and beautiful Ball Rocket Gaming website, which is basically the same person. Is the new quote for today. I don't know. You can also catch us over on Discord. Discord is where we do a lot of our chat and whatnot as you can see on here. Lots of things always going on. Apparently there's a live stream of Reboot, by the way. And of course, YouTube. We're still here. We're going to keep going here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoy this. Make sure you leave a comment because we always do appreciate that. And make sure you get over to the BRG Twitch site. Make sure you follow over there because that is where we're going to be starting in May. Again, May 1st will be the first episode of Defective Discourse. And then we're going to be following that up on May 5th with the Ball Rocket Gaming live stream show. So look forward to that. If you guys want to help us out, we certainly do appreciate it. And we certainly do. Nothing is beneath us. Not even have handouts. So if you want to give us a handout, head over to our Patreon page and make sure you give us a little bit of love there if you like. Again, guys, thank you so much, Component. Thank you for joining us on this fine evening.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to doing this with you, man. I really am. And Kirok, get the fucking art done.
You got it. No problem.
All right, guys. We will catch you next week.
Bye.